Welcome into Mazel Talk on 98.1 WQAQ. We want you to call in anytime, 203-582-5555. I'm your host, Josh Silverman, with Matt Travato. As always, we will, of course, be talking Red Sox Yankees today. Travato, have you started to panic about your Yankees?
A little bit. I mean, when you're down 2-1 and you're going into that final game, that could be the final game. You don't really know.
As he mentioned, the Red Sox are now up 2-1 after demolishing the Yankees last night. We'll get to all that. Of course, I need to talk about the Knicks as their season opens in just a few weeks. I can't wait for that. And, of course, we will have Over-Under in a new segment titled Bagels, Cream Cheese, and Locks, where we will give you our locks for the week. I know he loves the title. Stick around for all that, but we need to open the show with the Steelers. It's about that time, ladies and gentlemen. 2 p.m. means the start of Mazel Talk on 98.1 WQAQ. Call in any time. You know that. 203-582-5555 is the number. You know, I've talked about this multiple times on the show already, but I just want to keep coming back to it. And really what I think is the Giants and the Bengals are very similar teams. I mean, when you look at them, I think the Giants might have the advantage at head coach, to be honest. I mean, we know what Marvin Lewis is. Pat Shermer is an offensive genius. So at least at coach, they're even. At quarterback, I mean, Eli's not great, but I don't know that Andy Dalton is that much better. So I'd say they're about even there. A.J. Green and OBJ, about even. Sterling Shepard and Tyler Boyd, about even. Joe Mixon and Saquon, even if not advantage to Saquon. Evan Ingram and Tyler Eifert both injured, but that's about even too. So when you look at the differences between the two teams, there's really not much except for the offensive line. And I say, get the quarterback and protect the quarterback. The Bengals in 16 games last year scored 30 points 3 times, and one of those times came against the Browns. One time came against the Browns. This year they've already scored 30 points in 3 of 4 games, and they are 3-1. And why? They upgraded their offensive line in the offseason. They traded for Cordy Glenn from the Bills, and then they drafted Billy Price in the first round. He's the center. Cordy Glenn's a left tackle. So when you look at the differences between the Bengals from this year and last year, yeah, Mixon is a year older, but that's kind of it. It's really the upgraded offensive line. And at 2 positions, that's it. But it makes a huge difference. And when you look at the difference between the Bengals and the Giants, it's the offensive line. And the Giants' offensive line is so bad, and the Bengals' offensive line is so good, and that's why they're able to win shootouts with the Falcons. That's why they're able to stay ahead in games, and why they're able to come back. They're able to do so many different things because their offensive line is so efficient, and they work well together, they're well coached, and it changes the entire offense, and you can just watch the Bengals play and you watch the Giants play, and you think that those two teams should be very similar in terms of offensive production, and they could not be more different, and the main difference, and really the only difference, is the offensive line. And it just goes back to the fact that the Giants neglected and were naive about how close they were to competing. Saquon's a great player, but they should have taken a quarterback. We're going to keep coming back to that. And the offensive line not being there and them having trust in Eric Flowers and all these guys, it's not enough. I saw a tweet that said, these are grown men playing these sports, right? Mm-hmm. If you dunk on another man, there should be no technicals. Same with the NFL. If you catch a touchdown over someone, no penalty for taunting. These are grown men playing sports at their best abilities and dominating one another. You should be able to talk as much trash as you want. That was a funny tweet. And I agree 100%. So what, you laugh at someone's face? You just scored a touchdown on them in the NFL. Yeah. You should be able to do whatever you want. I mean, within reason. With you, like, you're not getting in their face.
The Marshawn Lynch thing is like, maybe you can't do that.
But like, if you dunk on someone and you want to point at them or maybe even step over them, now they should be able to retaliate. And it once it gets physical or to the point where like the heads are against each other for more than like a second or two, all right, if that keeps happening, you can throw a technical out there or whatever you want to do. But if you're just talking trash or whatever, and it's just all, you know, in the game, and you leave it on the field, no reason you shouldn't be able to talk any trash. That's why it's also
Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio.
Fantasy Fix.
Here with your Fantasy Fix, I'm Josh Silverman. It was a historic night for Los Angeles Angels first baseman Albert Pujols as he hit and out one with 2 home runs in last night's contest against the Seattle Mariners. The second home run is Pujols' 630th, tying him with MLB legend Ken Griffey Jr. for 6th most in Major League history.
Deep into left field, out of here! Out by the Angels bullpen. 2-homer night for Albert.
After a rough go of it the last few times out, Twins pitcher Kyle Gibson rebounded last night, striking out 9 batters in 8 innings while only surrendering 1 run to the Rays. Fantasy owners of Jose Ramirez continue to receive dividends as he homered in his 3rd straight game last night. However, one of the most impressive at-bats from last night comes from Mookie Betts, who is currently riding a 10-game hit streak.
Runners go, swing and a drive, deep left field. It's a grand slam. Mookie Betts, his 4th career grand slam.
There was a lot of NBA action late last night. The Nets traded guard Jeremy Lin to the Hawks and weren't done there. They also traded with the Nuggets, sending Isaiah Whitehead to Denver in exchange for Kenneth Faried, Jarrell Arthur, and a protected 2019 pick. The Nuggets didn't stop either. They then signed Isaiah Thomas to a 1-year deal worth the veteran minimum. Lakers second-year guard Josh Hart continues to dominate Summer League, dropping 20 points, 6 rebounds, 2 blocks, and 2 steals in last night's game. The Silverman spotlight for tonight shines on Tampa Bay Rays pitcher Nathan Eovaldi. Eovaldi is facing the Twins tonight, a team he doesn't have great history against, but with the 20-year-old currently logging his best season to date, he's worth playing on a night where there aren't many strong pitching options. What do our experts have to say about tonight's slate? Listen to SiriusXM Fantasy Sports on Channel 87 and catch them on the SiriusXM app. Here with your Fantasy Fix, I'm Josh Silverman.
SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio.
Fantasy Fix.
Here with your Fantasy Fix, I'm Josh Silverman. The Washington Nationals have placed pitcher Steven Strasburg on the disabled list with a pinched nerve in his neck. The MLB trade deadline is just days away and teams are active. The Rockies have acquired right-handed pitcher Sang-Won Ho and will send Forrest Wall and a player to be named to Toronto. The Yankees sent a trio of prospects, including Dylan Tate to Baltimore in exchange for pitcher Zach Britton. The Red Sox responded, sending left-handed pitching prospect Jalen Beeks to the Rays in exchange for Nathan Eovaldi. The Brewers are trading for White Sox pitcher Joaquin Soria, who currently owns a 2.56 ERA and 1.16 WHIP. Last night, Mike Trout did it again.
3-run homer for Mike Trout. 2nd home run of the night for the Angels All-Star center fielder.
A's outfielder Chris Davis also sent 2 balls deep, going 2 for 5 with 2 home runs and 5 RBIs. Rockies pitcher John Gray pitched 7 frames, allowing just 1 earned run while striking out 6 batters against the Astros. Owners of Jose Altuve will be happy to hear that the Astros hope to have him in the lineup on Friday. Altuve limped to second base on a double last night. With players finally reporting for training camp, there's plenty of NFL news to go around. Falcons receiver Julio Jones has received a new contract and will now report to training camp. Vikings running back Dalvin Cook is fully healthy and should be a go for the start of camp. However, Bengals tight end Tyler Eifert will start the season on the PUP list, and Raiders wide receiver Martavis Bryant has yet to hear from the NFL about a possible suspension this season. With Strasburg out, the Silverman spotlight for tonight shines on Yankees pitcher Sonny Gray. Gray's ERA this season is an atrocious 7.62, but after solid back-to-back starts against the Mets and Orioles, DFS players can be confident playing him against the Royals tonight at home. What do our experts have to say about tonight's slate? Listen to SiriusXM Fantasy Sports on Channel 87 and catch them on the SiriusXM app. Here with your Fantasy Fix, I'm Josh Silverman.
It's time to wrap up Muscle Talk for this week. You can catch us next week, as always, at 1 p.m. on 98.1 WQAQ. And, of course, call in anytime. 203-582-5555 is the number. Next week, we'll give you our Super Bowl picks and go through every single prop bet known to man. You will not want to miss any of that, along with over, under, and final thoughts. That's all coming next week. This week, Travado, who's winning the Pro Bowl?
Honestly, it really does not matter.
Doesn't matter. I'm not going to watch. You going to watch?
I'm not going to watch.
Neither of us are going to watch. You can follow him on Twitter at Travado7 and me on Twitter at Josh M. Silverman. Stay warm, everyone, and we'll catch you next week.